obvious. I guess we won't be
We
meeting.
won't be here on Thanksgiving.
We're Thursday night.
Oh,
It
shoot.
falls Tuesday at Thanksgiving.
Yeah, yeah, we can all watch each other eat turkey or something like that.
Couple of decent
Hey,
gradient descents and some high quality turkey. I'm okay with that.
that's right. That's right. Right. We can model. We can do 3D modeling with mashed potatoes and
Yeah,
gravy.
yeah,
What was that?
perfect, perfect.
What was that movie where that guy, Dreyfuss or something? Richard Dreyfuss back in the day. I don't remember. Anyway, I'm dating myself.
What
Hey, when
movie?
he, yeah, yeah, yeah. Close Encounters of the Third Kind. You remember he like
Uh,
flips out and starts carving that mount out of like the mashed potato. Anyway, mashed potatoes, right? Yeah, yeah. Okay, I see Ted took host. Thank you, Ted. So can you record too tonight?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay, thank you, sir. Really appreciate you doing that. As we get
so
going
actually,
here.
we have one more Thursday before Thanksgiving, the 21st.
Aha. Yeah, I mentioned something on I think it was the agenda channel. People had said, well, as we had gone through this, hey, we should talk about this and that. I didn't jot those down, so maybe I'll have to watch the recordings. But if anybody had something that we went through and we should really revisit, I think that'd be good food for a future meeting or something like that.
Yeah.
Because
I
we
made
do.
my personal list earlier today.
Oh,
Oh,
okay. Thank you, Ted, for being on top of that.
Yeah.
would you like to share the list?
Yeah.
You
Share
want
with
to
the
do it now
class.
or you want to do it at the end?
Oh, we can. That's a good idea. Yeah, just hang on at the end, and we can do kind of a summary of what everybody's interested in. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay. I'm actually going to go close my door and then we can go ahead and get started. How's that?
sounds good. Hey, Ted, do you remember? Have we covered DPO in a session here?
DPO?
Yeah.
I know I have talked about DPO, but I cannot remember if I talked about it here.
Okay.
Um,
That's
it's
becoming
a
a pretty standard right now, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I
Right.
would say that it may work better, but even if it is just merely at parity, it's easier than RLHF.
Right.
So
Mhm.
like there's all the incentive to switch if it's at least as good, and if it's even better, then that's just gravy.
Right. Right.
Most of the common ones that I see just kind of out in the wild are usually like either DPO, SFT, or both. It's kind of the meta, it seems. Or last I checked, I guess.
Cool. All righty. Is there anybody new here or that, if so, or wants to maybe say hi or things like that? We can do that. If not, I'll go ahead and get started.
That's
Okay.
good.
All righty. Let me just back up here. I'll do the 30, less than a minute version of the intro here.
All right, I'm going to start recording.
Okay, thanks, Dad.
Recording in
Okay.
progress.
And I'm going to full screen here. Bring this over here. And then we'll do the slideshow starting at the beginning and then jumping way down. Okay. Can everybody see that?
Are you sharing? Am I missing
Uh,
it?
oh,
I don't.
oh,
I
hang on.
don't see it. I'm not sure.
No, no, that was Jerry not hitting the share button. And you guys correcting me and sharing is no, you can request multiple presenters sharing for this meeting.
No, no, no.
So,
I just turned it on. Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you. I will share the, let me just put this over here. Ah, hold on, guys. Jerry's being incompetent.
No worries. You have to press buttons and read. It's very difficult. I
Yeah.
understand.
Yes, it is. It is difficult. That's
We need an LLM to do it for us.
Right, right. Get that in
yeah,
computer
yeah, yeah.
base. Yeah,
You guys get on that, will you?
absolutely.
All right. What is going on here? It keeps jumping to my other screen. I have two monitors, and I don't get this here. What can you guys see on your screens?
I see a black screen, and I did for like, oh wait, no, there's a couple of icons on the desktop that are like MP4s. And there was a thing like that hovered into screen for like just a 2nd or two, but now it's gone.
Okay. All right. How about now?
No change.
No
Oh,
change.
your desktop, just your desktop with the 3 icons.
Okay. I wonder if I'm sharing the wrong screen here. I hate Zoom. Did I tell you that?
Most of the other platforms aren't much better, unfortunately.
Yeah, a lot of them are worse.
Yeah.
So I guess I love Zoom then.
Comparatively love Zoom. Absolutely.
Comparatively love Zoom. Okay, here's the issue here I'm having. Well, keep opening. Besides opening, keep opening windows. I've got this open on my one monitor, but I can't. But what I think what you guys are seeing is my other monitor. So
Yeah, so you can share a different monitor, but if you want it
Oh.
on this monitor, like
That's
I
okay.
find, I don't even know the right terminology, but Apple has this whole thing where if you click the green circle, like
mhm.
then that isn't. Oh, now we see it.
Can
We
you
see
see?
some.
Can you see a guy yourself over in the corner too?
We see a title page right now.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. But you're not seeing the other window then. That's not good. Because I have
Well,
a
we-
window up that has like, 6 people or 7 people.
We don't need to see that.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll just go from there then. I need to see that, so if you guys have a quizzical look on your face, but okay. All right, so like we said, this is the discussion of Air Street Capital's State of the Art report for 2024. They do this all the time, and I think I have a slide coming up to go through a time frame. This is session 3 on this, and we are going to finish tonight, come hell or high water. Because I got other things to do in my life except prepare these slides. So just let me just recap real quickly here. So this is the goals of our review. We use the report slide, and we've done this once before, just kind of as food for discussion. We discuss an item, everybody's questions are welcomed, and everybody's opinion matters. I've skipped many 150 slide deck or something like that, and nobody wants to watch all of them. Okay. Any questions on that and why we did that? I don't think so. Okay, about this report. The report is broken up into these 5 sections. We did the research one, made it partway through the beginning of on week 1, and then on the industry section, that was last week, we got partway through, actually most of the way through on that. And there's a section on politics, which I'm not going to cover simply because it's too opinionated and too fluffy. Let me put it that way. There's also a section on safety, which is very, very useful, but we're just going to do light coverage. And then we'll finish up with the section they have on predictions, which was what they'll believe will happen in the 2024 and 2025 timeframe. Any questions on that? Okay. So let me get started and we will, oh, let me back up. So this is their report. This is from two guys at Airstreet Capital, Nate Beniich, who has put this together for a long time, and with his partner Alex Chalmers. So I believe they're mostly out of the UK, but I did see a New York address, but so maybe Airstreet Press has them on both continents. Okay, they did do this. Every year they've done this, and I won't go through this, but we'll see a list of predictions for 2024. And every year, what I really like about this thing is they actually look at it and say, what did we say last year, and how many did we get right, and how many did we get completely wrong, and things like that. And we'll finish tonight by going through the one for 2024. Okay? Okay. And I'm just going to flip through a bunch of slides here to get us caught up here. Blah, 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 blah. And bear with me. Stop session 1 here. We're going to go look for the stop session 2. Okay. People, blah, blah, blah. We're getting close, I know. Oh, this was, I think, one of the ones we were talking about doing, but whatever. Okay, so we're going to now start with the new stuff on session, for this session. Okay, so one of the things that I thought was interesting, and they have some great titles in these slides, is Are Scientists Inventing Their AI Replacement? A question we always ask ourselves, being in the kind of the machine learning AI business. They're talking about this AI scientist end-to-end framework that does what every grad student hates to do, which is generate research ideas, implementation, and production of research papers. Now, will this replace your whole PhD study course? Maybe, I don't know. At least a master's level? Maybe, or something like that. And as you can see, you essentially give it a template, and it's, kind of, hey, I want to write a paper about AI in cars or something like that. And it brainstorms novel research direction, executes some experiments to verify those, and then writes them up. That just described my degree program to get my master's degree. This would have saved me 2.5 years of really hard work or something like that. And I know for my daughter, 6 years of PhD work, if somebody would have done this for us. So, I think this is a little pie in the sky these days, but it is something they will probably get to. And they have that little flow chart you can see over there. On the left-hand column, it comes up with idea generation, and it has a novelty checker. So when you do research for your PhD, one of the first things you have to do is prove that it's novel. What you're doing is novel and you're somehow pushing science forward, blah, blah, blah. Sounds all good. Sounds like we're really important. And then I guess you throw in ideas and it says, how are these doing relative to those criteria? So I thought that was interesting. And even better, once you get the idea down in this column over here, you have to develop experiments for it. And this, as anybody who's done any experimentation, regardless of whether it's a degree program or not, can tell you is really, really where the rubber kind of meets the road. You spend a lot of time in this. So they have an experiment template. They generate code for you, of course, because as we know, our large language models are pretty decent at that now, getting better. And it even generates kind of a plan for your experiment you're going to do to prove whatever you're trying to prove in your defense or your dissertation or master's study or whatever you have. And then it generates all these templates. And get this, it even goes all the way down here to generate the text for your write-up, generates the manuscript, And then it has its own reviewing capability to see whether you properly closed all the things. You had like 5 things you were trying to prove. Did you prove those 5? And it'll go against known archives to see, yeah, whether met the requirement. So this is an interesting thing. I mean, why do we need PhD students if I can just press this, right? So, any thoughts?
If I could push back on that a little bit, to me, it seems like it'd be more interesting to look at this not as PhD student replacement, but rather productivity boost for PhD students. Each one of these steps, novelty checker, you could do that. Presumably, you could have a model that helps you check for novelty much more quickly. Also, it doesn't scoring and archiving. It kind of where's the value on it? It's got to be not only novel, it also has to be useful, I would think. It is in some way good.
Yeah, my experience has been that scoring and archiving, that's when you try to get it through like, your committee or whatever. And maybe this thing needs to go and see what, who's got what budget for what.
Okay.
You know how it is in graduate school, right? You go through, and if your professor has a grant to do XYZ, guess what you're going to do? Some of your research on XYZ, right? Whether you know it or not.
Yeah.
But anyway, I get what you're going with that. Go ahead. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No, that was just kind of the end. It's not to rule out that eventually we have AI PhD students, but to me, it seems like a much more useful first step is let's focus on how do we improve productivity
right.
of PhD students so we can more quickly learn more things.
Right. Yeah, and obviously this is beyond just PhD. As you go into industry, if you're going to work at that level, you're going to end up doing this similar cycle over and over and over again too. Yeah. And probably in a much more compressed time frame and not as perfect, if you will, or academically perfect.
Right.
Ted,
just to
go
continue.
ahead.
Sorry.
Yeah, a couple comments. So I heard one of the authors talking about this, and they kind of echoed your comments, Roger. They're like, hey, this is kind of like a proof of concept. We're not saying that this is, fully out there. But that maybe it really could help people. So like, as someone who just recently went through the trouble of writing up this system, they're like, for a lot of us, we don't enjoy the paper writing. So that 4th column on the right, maybe we can have it do like a lot of the first draft, second draft, and save us a bunch of time. But they commented that like it gets like really good at like tech and like doing figures and all that kind of stuff. So that can be like a tremendous time saver. One of the things they said that was the hardest for it is there is this novelty, trying to create novel research, and that it's not necessarily the greatest at like identifying, novel research paths. They also said that there was a comment that the current papers it writes have insufficient citations. There are citations there. They're proper, they're real, they're not hallucinated, but there's not nearly sufficient. So that's something that might require a whole nother model just to sort of, because, right, you see there's like 3 pages of citations in these papers. So there's like a lot that needs to go into that. And then just like a final side comment for me, we're really running into a problem, I think, that with the volume of papers coming out, there isn't enough human bandwidth to review them all properly. So I don't think you get rid of the humans and you just go to an AI reviewer, but maybe you can reduce the amount of work by some factor, cut it in half, cut it in a third, if you can have some. Yeah, so there's the easy part, which is just, has this already been published? But the hard part is this an interesting direction? So like I don't know how to explain it, but I'll give you a terrible example. If somebody said, oh, we have GPT, and if somebody's just like, oh, well, what if you just added 2 to every weight, what would happen? Like, that has not been done, but that's not an interesting direction.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Janeth? So you have
Yeah,
your hand up?
just sort of continuing on that thought, right? So I was wondering, like, if it's a productivity gain, is it like you get a PhD in like a year, 2 years versus 6 years? Is it like also in terms of like, like sorry, you had to do a qualifying exam, you had to do a general exam, this, that.